Hey everyone, welcome to 10 at 10, a new weekly series from us here at MKR, a collection of marketers talking about marketing. Today I've collected Kelly Briggs, our Chief Operations Officer, and Bria Mortensen, our Chief Business Strategy Officer, to talk about basically how everything has changed very quickly on us. Everyone kind of felt great at the end of Q1, like everything was going to be normal and awesome. And then we all got dealt a hand that I don't think anyone in the world was expecting. So today we're going to go through and talk a little bit about what we've learned in the last couple of weeks and hopefully, more specifically, what we're looking forward to moving into our relationships with our clients, the marketing work we're doing, and just the world in general. We only have 10 minutes, so if we can't solve the whole world part, we might come back to it in a later episode. So Kelly, as the person who most of us turn to and look and go, oh, please help us, we don't know what's going on here. You have been involved in a lot of the conversations around how things have so dramatically shifted in the last couple of weeks. I'd love to hear more about that from your perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that stood out to me the most, and this is certainly one of my favorite places to pay attention, is just around talent. When I think about what stood out to us the most, I think all businesses are at some point trying to future-proof, think about how change is going to impact their business. But really, this has thrown quickly into relief for us how important our people are in providing resources around them, as well as being able to create adaptive situations that allow them to still be successful, really impacted our ability to adapt on the fly in a quickly changing situation. I think that focus for us is something we've really quickly seen benefit from. So I think of it as something we knew we needed to do, but also learn from at the same time. I think this first quarter of the year really tested some of our theories around culture and our intention around our business strategy pretty quickly, and recognized that, okay, we still have to find a way to be a services business and a whole new operating system. Like there's something about essentially what we do that hasn't changed for our clients. Our expectations around our, whether we're excellent at our work, whether we display curiosity or lead with leadership, are still all there, but finding ways to create resources to support that talent still, I think, and using technology as a place where we can really grow, I think has really helped elevate us quickly. What do you think, Bria?
I completely agree. I think one of the really phenomenal things that's come out of this so far is just how amazing our team is. And exactly like you said, we've been really leaning on our culture and having the best talent. And this has been a test of sorts unintentionally that we're rocking, frankly. And we are in a little bit of a better position than a lot of other companies because we've had a work from home policy, work from wherever you're most productive. We have the technology. It's made it easier and somewhat seamless, I think, for us to have transitioned. But there's still a lack of actual contact and coming into the office and having that camaraderie. And we've done a really good job, I think, in managing that. We've started organizing weekly happy hours and just making sure everyone stays engaged, and everyone is, which is great. The one main difference, I think, for us is no longer face-to-face, in-person communication with our clients. And for me, that was one of my biggest concerns because it's so much more challenging to connect with someone over a video conference or a phone call. And I've just been so impressed with our account team and our entire team at their ability to really excel and continue to show how phenomenal they are at their jobs and what services we offer through technology as opposed to in person. So I know it's scary. I know we're in an unknown period, but I actually couldn't be more thrilled with where we are, as odd as it seems, because we're crushing this test. And I don't think we could be in a better position than we are right now.
I agree with that. I think, I was just going to add, I think it's a moment to trust what you've invested in. I hear that connection, Bria, where
Exactly.
we've put people in a position to hopefully help us execute. We're an agency. There's lots of agencies. We're not saying anything revolutionary here in terms of being a services business, but when we think about how we survive periods of uncertainty, hopefully it's leaning back into a business strategy that looks a little bit different than I think some of those traditional agency models where we're still only focused on the work. There is some looking inside at our own assets that I think has helped us be successful.
Exactly. And I think one other piece that's really sort of primed us to be in this situation of uncertainty is the changes we've seen in the marketing industry in the past decade. I mean, everyone thinks, oh, you work for an ad agency, it must be like Mad Men. That's obviously not the case. But just in terms of the different mediums that we use to communicate with consumers and our audience have just transitioned and changed so rapidly that we've gotten accustomed to uncertainty and sort of learned to leverage it by being ahead of the curve. And I think by having that mindset already, we're already again in a good position to deal with this uncertainty and to help coach our clients on how to evolve to address a world that we'd never imagined would exist.
I think that's a perfect segue here into something else that we wanted to chat about was when everything is entirely uncertain, it becomes very hard. Obviously, both Bria and I work in strategy very heavily, which hopefully usually is the idea of I'm going to take all this data in, I'm going to look at it, I'm going to collate it, and then I'm going to tell you what it means and probably what we should do with it. Only we don't have any data right now to be able to work from. There are no numbers in the spreadsheets. The analytics aren't telling us exactly where everything is going to go. How have we seen people start to adapt to this positioning where everything is uncertain? How do you go about making any kind of plans in the next week, 3 weeks, month, 3 months, any kind of period of time like that?
That is an excellent question. And as strategy folks, and Kelly, despite operations in her title, is one of the most strategic people we have on our team. We don't have info, and it's scary. No matter how prepared we think we are for the unknown, we're used to having some subset of data that we can fall back on, and not having that is scary. But I think we're in the same position as everyone else. Our clients are in the same position as everyone else. And the best we can do is plan as far in advance as possible and understand that this pandemic and the way the world is reacting to it is temporary, whether that's a few months, a year, I don't know, but things will eventually resume. So in terms of our 3-year plan, our 5-year plan, I think those stay largely the same. With the adjustments that I think we'll see in technology and a couple of other, lessons we've learned as a culture in terms of how we've learned to interact during the pandemic. But in looking at things more short term, it's the unknown that is the biggest concern. So maybe what you plan for is the unknown. You kind of lean into that. And I think that's what we've been doing strategically is, okay, we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, but we know what today is. And we know how to get through today and excel at it and advise our clients on it and just continue moving forward that way and continue to stay positive because we'll get through this.
I think we've looked at it with clients in two ways. Both, I think marketing is always testing science in the first place, regardless of what's happening in the world, right? And I think current events have always impacted the way that consumers spend their money in the first place. So recognizing that it's just a time to watch audiences and learn about ways that they may be actually changing their purchasing or decision making or emotional triggers along the way, I think is really important information for brands. I think that's how we're showing up in support of teams. I think you're also looking at being willing to take more risks. I think that is it is a riskier time. I think what we do in the absence of certainty is also there's a great opportunity to also try out new things.
We don't really have a choice but to make risks.
No one else has done this before, so no one else has been on this medium or has been in this exact situation who's tried this message before because no one has never needed to communicate this. So I think we're just seeing in general, whether it's through MKR's lens or any other agency, just some really interesting new ways of looking at creativity from brands, really requiring some authenticity from brands for sure right now. Wondering how long that's going to hold on. But then also just looking at the ways that it's all still just messaging. So I think if people can not let the fear create inertia for them, then honestly, it's just the middle of an evolution. I think it'll be really interesting to see what advertising looks like next year even.
Agreed, completely.
All right, so that is the end of our 10 minutes. Before I let both of our wonderful guests go, we're going to do a quick lightning round here at the very end, where I want to hear what the most awkward thing you've caught yourself doing on camera now that we all live in meetings on camera. Kelly, you get to go first.
Oh, there's definitely a lot more adjusting and gesturing that I didn't recognize that I did. So I don't even know if it's like a full awkward, like I haven't done a full nose pick, but there's a lot of like clothes shifting around here that I didn't recognize. Like you can see always waist up. It's like nice to hold on to that reminder of like, oh, you can still hear that. Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think there's one specific thing for me either. One thing if you've noticed, I haven't moved much at all because I've forgotten a couple of times and stood up to get my cat or something like that. And, I might be wearing pajama bottoms right now. And hey, this is working from home. So
it's a real thing.
I haven't put on actual pants. I put on shorts, but I haven't put on actual pants since we've been quarantined. And every once in a while, I will do the same thing, even just to stretch, where normally on a phone call, get up and stretch and move. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah, these thighs are not quite ready to be that exposed. It's a little early in the spring here in the Midwest. These are not public ready legs yet.
I'm blinded.
It's weird. It is. I put on shoes just for the presentation this morning.
Wow.
It was
I
weird.
haven't put on.
Wanted to wear shoes to look like
that immediately. So yeah, it's not a lifestyle I can maintain.
I'm still impressed with that commitment.
All right, I'd like to thank both Kelly Briggs, Chief Operating Officer, as well as Bria Mortensen, Chief Business Strategy Officer, for joining me today. This has been 10 at 10, an MKR production.